The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Chapter 10 Hypothesis. If I fall in love, things will invariably end poorly. The knockout mouse had been hanging from a wire for a length of time that should have been impossible considering how it had been genetically modified. Olive frowned at it and pressed her lips together. It was missing crucial DNA. All the hanging from a wire proteins had been erased. There was no way it could hold on for this long. It was the whole point of knocking out its stupid genes. Her phone lit up and the corner of her eye darted to its screen. She was able to read the name of the sender, Adam, but not the content of the message. It was 8:42 on Wednesday, which immediately had her worried that he might want to cancel their fake date. Maybe he thought that because he had let Olive pick out an ice cream sandwich for him yesterday after Flocella, which she may or may not have ended up eating herself. They didn't need to meet today. Maybe she shouldn't have forced him to sit on a bench with her and recount the marathon they had run, and possibly she had come off as annoying when she had stolen his phone, downloaded her favorite running app, and then friended herself on it. He had seemed to be enjoying himself, but maybe he hadn't been. Olive glanced at her gloved hands and then back at her mouse, who was still holding on to the wire. Dude, stop trying so hard. She kneeled until she was at eye level with the cage. The mouse kicked around with its little legs, its tail flopping back and forth. You're supposed to be bad at this, and I'm supposed to write a dissertation about how bad you are, and then you get a chunk of cheese, and I get a real job that pays real money and the joy of saying I am not that kind of doctor when someone is having a stroke on my aeroplane. The mouse squeaked and let go of the wire, flopping on the floor of the testing cage with a thud. That'll do it. She quickly got rid of her gloves and unlocked her phone with her thumb. Adam, my arm hurts. She initially thought that he was saying her a reason why they couldn't meet up. Then she remembered waking up and rubbing her own achy arm. Olive, from the flu shot? Adam, it's really painful. She giggled. She truly had not thought she was the type to, but here she was, covering her mouth with her hand and yes, giggling like a fool in the middle of the lab. Her mouse was staring up at her, its tiny red eyes a mix of judgment and surprise. Olive, hostile, turned away and looked back at her phone. Olive, oh, Adam, I'm so sorry. Olive, should I come over and kiss it better? Adam, you never said it would hurt so bad. Olive, as someone once told me, it's not my job to work on your emotion regulation skills. Adam's answer was one single emoji, a yellow hand with a raised middle finger, and Olive's cheeks pulled with how hard she was grinning. She was about to reply with the kiss emoji when a voice interrupted her. Gross? She looked up from her phone. Anne stood in the lab's entrance, sticking out her tongue. Hi, what are you doing here? Borrowing gloves and being grossed out? Olive frowned. Why? We are out of the small size. Anne stepped inside, rolling her eyes. Honestly, they never buy enough because I am the only woman in the lab. But it's not like I don't go through gloves as fast as. No, why are you grossed out? Anne made a face and plucked two purple gloves from Olive's stash. Because of how in love you are with Carlson, is it okay if I take a few pairs? What are you? Olive blinked at her, still clutching her phone. Was Anne going crazy? I'm not in love with him. Sure. Anne finished stuffing her pockets with gloves and then looked up, finally noticing Olive's distressed expression. Her eyes widened. Hi, I was kidding. You are not gross. I probably look the same when I am texting Jeremy, and it's actually very sweet how gone you are for him. But I'm not gone. Olive was starting to panic. I don't. It's just Anne pressed her lips together as if biting back a smile. Okay, if you say so. No, I'm serious. We are just. Dude, it's okay. Anne's tone was reassuring and a little emotional. It's just you're so amazing and special, and honestly, my favorite person in the whole world. But sometimes I get worried that no one but Malcolm and me will ever get to experience how incredible you are. Well, until now I'm not worried anymore because I have seen you and Adam together at the picnic and in the parking lot and every other time, really. You are both crazy in love and over the moon about it. It's cute, except that first night, she added pensive. I maintain that was pretty awkward. Olive stiffened. Anne, it's not like that. We are just dating casually, hanging out, getting to know each other. We are not. Okay, sure, if you say so. Anne shrugged, clearly not believing a word of what Olive was saying. Hi, I gotta go back to my bacterial culture. I will come bug you when I'm on break, okay? Olive nodded slowly, watching her friend's back as she headed for the door. Olive's heart skipped a bit when Anne paused and turned around, her expression suddenly serious. All, I just want you to know that I was very worried about you getting hurt from my dating Jeremy. But now I am not anymore. Because I know what you really look like when you well. Anne gave her a sheepish grin. I wouldn't say it if you don't want me to. She left with a wave of her hand, and Olive stood frozen, watching the door frame long past the moment Anne had disappeared. Then she lowered her gaze on the floor, slumped on the stool behind her, and thought one single thing: shit. It was the end of the world. These things happened. Even best of people developed crushes. Anne had said love. Oh god. She had said love on the person they were fake dating. It didn't mean anything except that fuck. Olive locked the door of her office behind her and plopped herself into a chair, hoping today wouldn't be the one time in the semester that her office mates decided to show up before 10 a.m. It was all her fault, her stupid doing. She had known that she had begun to find Adam attractive. She had known almost from the very beginning, and then she had started talking with him. She had started getting to know him, even though it was never part of the plan. And damn him to hell of being so different from what she had expected, for making her want to be with him more and more. Damn him. It had been there, staring at Olive for the past few days, and she hadn't noticed because she was an idiot. She stood abruptly and dug into her pocket for her phone, pulling up Malcolm's contact. Olive, we have to meet. Bless Malcolm, because it took him fewer than 5 seconds to answer. Malcolm, lunch? I am about to dig into the neuromuscular junction of a juvenile rat. Olive, I need to talk to you now. Olive, please. Malcolm, Starbucks in 10. I told you so. Olive didn't bother lifting her forehead from the table. You didn't. Well, maybe I didn't say hi. Don't do this fake dating shit because you are going to fall for Carlson. But I did say that the whole idea was idiotic and a car wretch waiting to happen, which I believe encompasses the current situation. Malcolm was sitting across from her by the window of the crowded coffee shop. Around them, students chattered, laughed, ordered drinks, rudely unaware of the sudden maelstrom in Olive's life. She pushed up from the cold surface of the table and pressed her palm into her eyes, not quite ready to open them yet. She might never be ready again. How could this happen? I'm not like this. This is not me. How could I, and Adam Carlson of everyone, who is into Adam Carlson? Malcolm snorted. Everyone, all he is tall, brody, sullen hunk with a genius IQ. Everyone like tall, brody, sullen hunks with genius IQs. I don't. Clearly, you do. She squeezed her eyes shut and whimpered. He is really not that sullen. Oh, he is. Just you don't notice because you are halfway gone for him. I am not. She smacked her forehead repeatedly. Shut. He leaned forward and grabbed her hand, his skin dark and warm against hers. Hey, he told her, voice pinched to a comforting tone. Settle down, we will figure it out. He even tagged on a smile. Olive loved him so much in that moment, even with all the I told you SOS. First of all, how bad is it? I don't know. Is there a scale? Well, there is liking and there is liking. She shook her head, feeling utterly lost. I just like him. I want to spend time with him. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. You also want to spend time with me. She grimaced, feeling herself blush scarlet. Not quite like that. Malcolm was quiet for a bit. I see. He knew how big of a deal this was for Olive. They had talked about this multiple times, how rare it was for her to experience attraction, especially sexual attraction. If there was something wrong with her, if her past had stunted her in same way. God. She just wanted to retreat inside her hoodie like a turtle until it all went away. Go race a race, start writing her dissertation proposal, anything but deal with this. I was there and I didn't figure it out. I just thought he was smart and attractive and that he had a nice smile and that we would be friends. And she rubbed her palms into her eyes sockets, wishing she could go back and erase her life choices. The entire past month. Do you hate me? Me? Malcolm sounded surprised. Yes. No. Why would I hate you? Because he's been horrible to you, made you throw out a ton of data. It's just with me he is not. I know, well, he amended, waving his hand. I don't know, but I can believe he is different with you then. When he was in my damn graduate advisory committee, you hate him. Yeah, I hate him or I dislike him, but you don't have to dislike him because I do. Though I do reserve the right to comment on your abysmal taste in men every other day or so. But all I saw you guys at the picnic. He definitely wasn't interacting with you like he does with me. Plus, he added begrudgingly. He is not hot. I can see why you had hit that. This is not what you said when I first told you about the fake dating. No, but I'm trying to be supportive here. You weren't in love with him at the time. She groaned. Can we please not use that word ever again? It seems a little premature. Sure. Malcolm brushed non existent dust off his button down. Way to bring a rom-com to life, by the way. So, how are you going to break the news? She messaged her temple. What do you mean? Well, you have a thing for him and you two are friendly. I'm assuming you're planning to inform him of your feelings. Can I use the word feelings? No. Whatever. He rolled his eyes. You're going to tell him, right? Of course not. He snorted out a laugh. You can't tell the person you are fake dating that her brain scanned itself for the correct word, didn't find it, and then stumbled on. Like them. It's just not done. Adam will think I orchestrated this, that I was after him all along. That's ridiculous. You didn't even know him at the time. Maybe I did though. Do you remember the guy I told you about who helped me decide about grad school? The one I met in the bathroom over my interview weekend? Malcolm nodded. He might have been Adam, I think. You think? You mean you didn't ask him? Of course not. Why, of course? Because maybe it wasn't him, and if he was, he clearly doesn't remember, or he had have mentioned it weeks ago. He hadn't been the one wearing expired contacts after all. Malcolm rolled his eyes. Listen, Olive, he said earnestly. I need you to consider something. What if Adam likes you too? What if he wants something more? She laughed. There is no way. Why not? Because. Because what? Because he's him, he's Adam Carlson, and I. She trailed off. No need to continue, and I'm me, I am nothing special. Malcolm was quiet for a long moment. You have no idea, do you? His tone was sad. You're great, you're beautiful and loving, you're independent and a genius scientist and selfless and loyal. Hell, all. Look at this ridiculous mess you created just so your friend could date the guy she likes without feeling guilty. There's no way Carlson hasn't noticed. No, she was resolute. Don't get me wrong, I do think he likes me, but he thinks of me as a friend, and if I tell him and he doesn't want to what? Doesn't want to fake date you anymore? It's not like you have much to lose. Maybe not. Maybe all the talking and those looks Adam gave her, and him shaking his head when she ordered extra whipped cream. The way he let himself to tease out of his moods, the texts, how he seemed to be so at ease with her, no noticeably different from the Adam Carlson she used to be half scared of. Maybe all of that was not much, but she and Adam were friends now, and they could remain friends even past September 29th. Olive's heart sank at the thought of giving up the possibility of it. I do though. Malcolm sighed, once again enveloping her hand with his. You have it bad, then. She pressed her lips together, blinking repeatedly to push back the tears. Maybe I do, I don't know. I have never had it before. I have never wanted to have it. He smiled reassuringly, even though Olive felt anything but reassured. Listen, I know it's scary, but this is not necessarily a bad thing. One single tear was making it way down Olive's cheek. She hastened to clean it with her sleeve. It's the worst. You have finally found someone you are into, and okay, it's Carlson, but this could still turn out to be great. It couldn't, it can't. All I know where you are coming from. I get it. Malcolm's hand tightened on hers. I know it's scary being vulnerable, but you can allow yourself to care. You can want to be with people as more than just friends or casual acquaintances. But I can't. I don't see why not. Because all the people have cared about are gone, she snapped. Somewhere in the coffee shop, the barista called for a caramel macchiato. Olive immediately regretted her harsh words. I'm sorry, it's the way it works. My mom, my grandparents, my father, one way or another, everyone is gone. If I let myself care, Adam will go too. There, she had put it into words, said it out loud, and it sounded all the truer because of it. Malcolm exhaled. Oh, all. He was one of the few people to whom Olive had opened up about her fears. The constant feeling of not belongings, the never ending suspicions that since so much of her life had been spent alone, then it would end the same way. That she had never be worthy of someone caring for her. His knowing expression, a combination of sorrow and understanding and pity, was unbearable to watch. She looked elsewhere at the laughing students at the coffee shop, lids stacked next to the counter, at the stickers on a girl's MacBook, and slid her hand away from under his palm. You should go. She attempted a smile, but it felt wobbly. Finish your surgeries. He didn't break eye contact. I care. Anne cares. Anne would have chosen you over Jeremy, and you care too. We all care about one another, and I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. It's different. How? Olive didn't bother answering and used her sleeve to dry her cheeks. Adam was different, and what Olive wanted from him was different, but she didn't want to articulate it. Not now. I won't tell him. All. No, she said, firm, with her tears gone. She felt marginally better. Maybe she was not who she had thought, but she could fake it. She could pretend, even to herself. I'm not going to tell him. It's a horrible idea. All. How would that conversation even work? How would I phrase it? What are the right words? Actually, you should probably. Do I tell him that I'm into him, that I think about him all the time, that I have a huge crush on him, that Olive? In the end, what tripped her off was not Malcolm's word or his panicky expression or the fact that he was clearly looking at a spot somewhere above her shoulders. In the end, Anne chose that exact moment to text her, which drew Olive's eye to the number on the screen, 10 a.m. It was 10 on a Wednesday morning, and Olive was currently sitting in the campus Starbucks, the very same Starbucks where she had spent her Wednesday morning for the past few weeks. She whirled around, and she wasn't even surprised to find Adam standing behind her, close enough that unless both his eardrums had ruptured since the last time they had talked, he must have heard every single word that come out of Olive's mouth. She wished she could expire on the spot. She wished she could crawl outside her body and this cafe, melt in a pool of sweat and sip between the tiles on the floor, just vanish into thin air. But all these things were currently beyond her skill set. So she fixed a weak smile on her face and looked up at Adam.